Yes, hello, and you are very welcome to this episode of Community Voices Uganda here on Civic Space TV. I am Philip Mulisa. You're very welcome, and on this episode, we are discussing Uganda's agriculture sector, and we want to lay grounds and foundations of what we, the people here, think can be implemented in this sector to make sure it actually works and serves the people of Uganda. As for a very long time, we have boosted that this is the backbone of our economy, and many of our people are actually directly or indirectly employed in this sector, but also it sustains us as a nation in terms of providing food and raw materials for some of our industries. But maybe before I get into that conversation, just this week, this particular show and the wider Civic Space TV, we received very sad news of the passing of one of our regular panelists, and that is Denmark Adios Binomugisha. He passed on, and that did not we did not find that so nice. It is very sad that we lost that very young and passionate man. He was active in the politics. He was looking to contest in Marara North constituency in 2026, and certainly maybe he would have won, or maybe he would have contributed to changing a thing or two in that particular location. And indeed, for the country, we pass our condolences to the family, to friends, to relatives, and indeed everyone that knew that gentleman. And I know his burial is today in Rupunjiri district. And from us here at Civic Space TV, we shall say that may his soul rest in eternal peace. And yes, back from that, we are having a conversation about Uganda's agriculture, but specifically looking at the coffee business and how a lot of things are changing in that particular business. And I'm glad to host individuals that are quite knowledgeable about this concept of our economy, and indeed interact with this business so much that they will share with us what it is and what they think should be done to make sure things are better for our coffee farmers, our coffee traders, exporters, and any other related activities in the coffee business. And luckily, so I'm privileged to host Engr.Olanya Olenge Tonny. Tonny, greetings. You're welcome to the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here to share this perspective into how best we can see that the agricultural sector, which is the backbone of this country's economy, both in terms of food crops and cash crop, can be of leverage to this nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, for joining us, and we can't wait to hear what more you will share with us on this particular topic. And I also have the honors of hosting Mr. Reagan Mwebesa. He is actually in the coffee business, and he understands this subject so well. So we are privileged to have you, Reagan. Greetings, you're welcome, and how is where you are?
Fine, thank you. My apologies, I was on a move. But thank you so much, Philip. Thank you so much, Civic Space, for hosting us. Me in particular, for talking about the thing that has made me who I am, from a little boy in a village whose dreams were so big, to a boy who can now access a town or a bank. So it means this is a very pertinent thing to talk about, a very crucial thing to talk about. And I do hope and pray that I contribute meaningfully. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and we shall surely enjoy from what you share with us on the business. And I expect to be joined by Carol Nakibuka and Emily Namalwa to also make a contribution on this conversation and certainly see how we can get moving as a people, because this is an industry that people invest in to make sure they are able to sustain their lives, grow their lives, and thrive as participants in the global economy. And colleagues, for a very long time, Uganda has produced coffee, and Again, we have always boasted of being the leading exporters of Robusta coffee, but also when you combine all the other bits of it, you realize that recently I saw an announcement that said Uganda had actually overtaken Ethiopia in terms of coffee exports from the African continent. And but even for a very long time, being a number two was not very bad, and government always tells us the figures between 4 million to 7 million bags of coffees annually, and that is a very big figure for a country like Uganda, and indeed that is a mark we live in that industry. But over time now, and much more recently, we saw that the prices of coffee were quite high and coffee farmers were celebrating everywhere. Little did they know that a few months down the road, things will turn out for the worst, at least from what is reported now. And I want to understand, I think, Reagan, you are in position to help me with this. As someone involved in the coffee business, we keep hearing these fluctuations in prices of coffee, but bring us to speed. What is the status on ground? What is actually happening? How much is the decline, and how much actually, what price ranges are practically there in the field of the business right now? Yes, Regan.
Philip, maybe for clarity, do I have to be in video? It's okay to be in audio as well.
It is very helpful when you are video, unless you are unable, but for purposes of, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Philip. Coffee, now let me just give a very brief history. In 2011, 2012, our coffee skyrocketed from like 3,200 shillings to around 11,000, 12,000. And for a very long time, that's the highest it had been. Now, in 2021, particularly around July, if I am not lost, coffee started peaking from around 4,300, 4,700 to 7,000 within that year. Now, last year, our individual highest in field was around 16,000. That is what we were giving to farmers. And exporters were in a margin of 19 to 20,000, 20,400 and above, depending on the contract and the demand of the place the coffee is going to. However, these high prices have a negative impact too, bearing in mind that they have a positive impact, which is the amount of money farmers gain, which is improvement of livelihoods, which is improvement of access to services that are basic for people. This high price, in the end, attracts a low quality. Why? Farmers tend to want to harvest even beans that are unready in the name of having money in their pockets. These beans, when harvested unready, will affect the final output of an exporter. Because an exporter, for example, is given a contract of ready beans. So green beans and red beans at production level vary in quality. And that decline in quality, in the long run, if it is done for a long time, for example, 2 to 3 months, will affect the contracts that are given to exporters. Because let's take a very significant example. For example, I am an international company and I'm buying from Ethiopia and Uganda. And I noticed that Uganda's coffee quality has been slightly declining for 2 months. That means that if I have a Ugandan supplier and an Ethiopian supplier, I will now channel my money and huge contracts to the Ethiopian supplier who still has quality maintained. Now, this increase in prices also brings about a lot of conmen in the coffee field because so many people tend to want to earn quickly. That is what now brings in scenarios like someone buying 10 tons of coffee and 3 tons of husks, and they mix and sell. So if you now sell this to an exporter, for example, who has a decent contract, he has no other option except cutting the price to cover the loss that he made from the husks you sold to this gentleman. So over time, we have had a slightly visible fall in our quality because of high prices. That is the first thing. Secondly, coffee that is within the domestic domain, not the international domain. When you look at it the international way, coffee is more of a self-regulating commodity that demand and supply are at play. When the supply is much less than the demand, our prices and contracts are high. Because if, for example, an Italian needs 150 tons per month, and the highest he can collect from Uganda is 100 tons, he may have to take it a little bit higher, especially with the contracts that he gives to us normal businessmen in the coffee community. So in the Ugandan perspective, we have had falls attributed to our failure to maintain quality. Please quote me well. Us as suppliers to exporters have failed to maintain quality in the name of making money quickly. But then the major cause of the significant falls is the falls in contracts that are given to exporters. You know, these exporters deal with people in these economies that need this coffee. So when coffee falls on the international market, it means that our exporter, who is our end user in the Ugandan context, shall sign a contract that is much less than the one he had initially. So that now causes the exporter giving me as Reagan Mwebesa, a supplier, a lesser contract. When I get a lesser contract, I give someone at the factory a much lesser contract. The person at the factory, because he wants to make money, will give a farmer so much more less. So let's now look at the most significant example of like last week. Coffee in last week was trying to pick up. It was putting a few more cents. So now you find that I sign a contract of, for example, 10,900 shillings. But because I wish to make off like 3 million on a truck, I give a contract to someone at a factory of 10,600 shillings. This person at the factory, because he wants to make money, shall buy at 10,200 shillings. Now, we have a type of coffee that is already dry called Chiboko, and there are people who only deal in Chiboko. So as a dealer in Chiboko goes also to the village, and because he wants to make that 200 shillings off the factory guy, he will buy at 10. So you find that a farmer who puts in a lot of energy makes less because the margin of production is really long. So very many factors are into play, but the most significant one is in the Ugandan perspective, the chain of production is long because it doesn't come from farmer to exporter. It comes from farmer to factory to supplier and then to exporter. That chain is where everyone is engaged. Then a quick one on the international perspective, a very quick one for a minute. Coffee is self-regulating internationally, but the reason why all of these things are happening is because Brazil and Vietnam, who are very serious economies when it comes to marketing their coffee and production, they produce much more coffee than us, Uganda, and even the greater part of Africa. So now these economies, because they are very intentional about marketing, something we are not doing very well as an economy, by the way. Since they are very intentional about marketing, their coffee totally takes up whatever spaces we would have tapped into. And their production being big, causes us who are not very good to struggle even in the international market. But now, from a layman's point of economics, if a lot of coffee is in supply on the international market, coffee is a very expensive commodity. So now, if a lot of coffee is in supply, it means that even companies that are buying it internationally have to cut on the prices to afford this a lot because they want to contain it. So it is falling because of one, quality, two, because of the high production of coffee internationally, mainly by Vietnam and Brazil. And lastly, us as Uganda, we may be struggling because of a long chain where it comes from around 4 people to get to the end user. We may also be struggling in a Ugandan context because we are not doing so well with value addition. We only sell a dry coffee bean and we add no value to it. And the last is we are struggling because I think information has not been disseminated well to the end user on the best farming practices, which in the long run affects our quality. Thank you so much, Philip.
Thank you so much, Reagan, for that very good ground you lay for us in terms of what the coffee business looks like and certainly what could be the drivers of the changes we keep seeing in the business. And one of the things you talk about is the quality of the coffee, and you tell us that sometimes when the prices go high, they rush to have something to sell. It makes the farmers do things they're not supposed to do so as to make sure they are able to get some of these monies. And Tony, I want to hear from you, feeding into this standard and background Reagan has given us. The concept of quality. First of all, how is the production managed in terms of making sure we have the standard required in both the local and international market? But two, why have we continually failed to produce quality, not just in coffee, but even for other products? At some time, we used to have a market for vanilla crops like the bananas themselves. There is a lot of market, but usually the complaint is the quality. What is the challenge with us producing quality? Where is the missing link? Yes, Tony.
My brother, thank you so much. And I want to thank the previous speaker. He's really put it out very clearly. I want to tell you that for us to understand very well the aspects of the quality, we need to look at the people doing the coffee. Who are they? You will realize these are smallholder farmers in Uganda who are very vulnerable. And the majority of these smallholders farmers lack the resources to withstand some of these price shocks and the demand towards coffee investment. In terms of even the training, you will clearly agree with me that now that they've closed out Uganda Coffee Development Authority, you see that the extension services towards coffee might quickly dwindle, just like we saw how it affected vanilla and the other high value crops. So, and then of course, these smallholder farmers mostly rely on this middlemanship, and this middlemanship is always about money. They don't look at the quality of things. They look at the money that comes in. So the aspects of them being vulnerable comes to bring to the point that they easily get exploited. And then another context that we can look at it is how government prioritizes its funding. Government doesn't channel enough funds to the agricultural sector, specifically high value crops sector, because there are sectors that are already fairly doing well. We're not having a food shortage. So food crops shouldn't be having that kind of funding that you see them having. At least perhaps they should have prioritized these cash crops, coffee, vanilla, cocoa, spice farming, to put into context that this will generate a lot of revenue to government in terms of export earnings. But we don't have funding priorities. Government puts money where it is less needed, okay? Or where it quickly shorts in the interest. So that to me points to the aspect of quality. And then maybe the third thing is that because when you look at quality, you look at the entire value chain, right from the sourcing of the seeds, right from the extension services given, right from the farming, the kind of fertilizers used in place, how the crops are taken care of, how the post-harvest handling is done. So you realize that people who are doing coffee in most of these areas, the post-harvest handling facilities are either under maintained or are outdated for the international market standards. So that clearly tells you why we get standards that are low. I've seen fundings that have been given, of course, through dubious methods, as I would say, under the Inspire Africa Coffee Project. Definitely, you would have thought that to support their exact rural farmers, that money should have been channeled to smaller coffee roasters or smaller coffee processing units, not a large one like we see in Ntungamo. Okay, I think government has really misplaced all the billions of shillings that put there, or the millions of dollars. For me, I would have thought that they would have set up smaller processing units, because if you have a big processing unit in Ntungamo, it's not a bad one, but setting it up there, yet the value of coffee is affected right from the grassroots, right from the processing facilities within the small older farmers. It would mean that the end user or the end production at Ntungamo may not really have any impact on the value of the coffee that we have, or the value of the coffee beans. So basically, it's about priority and strategizing on the sector. So this government still, I feel like they know what to do, but they intend to do things in very funny ways. And maybe also to add on to the context of the issue of the price drops, just like my brother said, Brazil and Vietnam properly understand the coffee sector. The government puts in a lot of money there. So you would find that because Brazil controls the public perception and media, because of the marketing they put in place, they will easily have their coffee taken up before other world market players look into Uganda. Uganda's smallholder, vulnerable market players. So that means if we have a government that doesn't position coffee as a very key export, you will see products like gold overtaking coffee. Gold now has overtaken coffee. Gold in the last financial year raised over $3 billion, okay, now as the leading export earner. What will it tell you? It will tell you that for the next coming days, looking at the geopolitical situations, the geopolitical events, and maybe the exchanges, the volatility in the economy, and the currency drops, it will clearly tell you that it is going to be very hard for coffee to gain back that #1 dominance. Okay, because it's now competing with a metal that is highly on demand by the global industry. So that clearly tells you, besides the local trajectory towards coffee prices, the demand towards other commodities in the commodities trade market is shifting. Okay, it's also a general shift from coffee towards gold, where people see that they can keep their money in, and so many other aspects that control the geopolitical situation.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony, for that perspective you shared with us, and very important things you raised. And Caroline, we've been joined by Caroline Nakibuka from Buta Coffee Cooperative. And Caroline, I hope you can hear me. Greetings and you're welcome to the conversation. And perhaps you may start with speaking to us about the practical challenges you are experiencing in your particular location, and indeed from your activity at that cooperative, and how you interact with the farmers. What are the challenges that actually lead them into, one, not having the quality we are looking for, but two, Tony here just spoke about the vulnerabilities, and I don't know what plays out between, especially the funding. I understand your cooperative is that's largely funding, and your interactions with the farmers. Where is the challenge in terms of making sure they can have the capacity to produce not just the quantity, but also the quality required for the market, for people like Reagan here to trade and indeed make sure our exporters have what they need for the market, so that we don't lose out on contracts? Yes, Caroline. Good morning. Welcome to the conversation.
Yes, thank you. As introduced, my name is Nakibuka Caroline. I work with Buta Farmers Cooperative Society. It's located in Manafa district off Rakaka Road. the cooperative has been in existence for around fully 2020, and we have about 500 farmers who are active and registered by EcoStat, the certifying body. One of the challenges, let me go straight to the question. One of the challenges that the farmers face is climate change. Change in climate change affects the farmers a lot. You find that the farmer has planted his crop in around August, September, but again towards December, the rains disappear. Am I still with you people?
Yes, yes, you are. Please proceed.
Hello? Okay, yes. So you find that now during that hot season, the plant is planted, but due to lack of irrigation facilities, you find that the coffee now grows, but does not put as it's supposed to put. You find it's growing when it is yellowish. You find when it is drying up, becoming dark. But as a cooperative, we are trying to see what we can do to make sure that they get out the quality that we deserve as a cooperative and as themselves and as the country. And another challenge that the farmers face is the financing, crop finance. You find the farmer has chunks of land, but does not have money to buy the seedlings. At times, even the seedlings are got, but does not have money to buy the fertilizers and the pesticides to make sure they mitigate all those pests and diseases. So also as a cooperative, as I may say, we have put up a nursery bed for seedlings. So whatever we can manage, we give out to our farmers, the quality seedling. But that one has also become a challenge, financing. And for them, they look at the funds to make sure that they buy what they exactly want. That's the challenge as in village. Then another challenge is most of these farmers, they know less about what a coffee crop is. From the start of planting to the start of taking care of it to the start of harvesting. So what we have done as a cooperative, we have tried to check in. We have employed some field officers, at least on ground. They go on ground. They teach them how to manage a crop from the time you plant it up to the time it is harvested. So this has been a challenge, but at least now it has been reduced a bit in the community. Just to remind me of the second question you had asked for, please.
Yes, thank you. But you've mentioned this, and very important. You say you have about 500 farmers as members of your cooperative, and that's a very big number. And perhaps the people in the coffee business here might take interest in your cooperative and see how you can partner. But when you look at these 500, first of all, how is the interaction between the farmers and the cooperative, and what sort of assistance are they getting from you? And when you look at the challenges you mentioned of they don't know basically how to handle these the farming process, they don't have information from the market. Are there any initiatives you are looking into as a cooperative to make sure you assist them get some of this information so that now the production becomes better going forward?
Yes, thank you. As I had earlier communicated, we have employed field officers, and we make sure that the field officer visits each and every farmer in every zone, and a report is given out. So through this visiting, it also helps us to see what needs the different farmers have, and we try to chip in. And maybe on the good news, I may say, as a cooperative, we have started up a circle, a farmer circle. So this one is helping in crop finance. We have opened up the circle, so they come, they register, we give out loans, though not at not so much, but at least the percentage is lower because we give it at 3%. So the farmers come, and we specifically give the farmers that do supply us coffee and who are our own members. So this one has also come in to help a lot. It has really helped a lot, because now most of them come, as now this period in Mbale, Manafa, we are at the moment of planting. This is the time that they do plant because of the rains. So most of them now are coming in for some little money, at least to buy seedlings. And those who already have the coffee trees which are mature, they are getting some money to do some little spraying because of the rain. So it has really chipped in to help a lot the cooperative and the farmers on ground. And what I may say maybe about quality, we do organize so many trainings. At least in a year, we organize around 5 trainings for our farmers. So these trainings, we call different people to come and talk to them. Even as the staff, we talk to them and we teach them exactly what to do. From the time the crop is harvested, what they are supposed to harvest as a red cherry, not a green cherry, because all this is going to affect the quality. Because we do buy coffee from them, and this coffee that we buy, we always export. So they exactly know exactly how to handle from post-harvest handling, from the time it is picked until the time it dries and the time they supply to the cooperative.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline, for that. And I think you are one of the big players we've been looking out for here, and certainly you are doing great in terms of making sure there is progress in the coffee business. Thank you. And Emily, are you there? Perhaps if you can say.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, Phil.
Yes, good morning, and you are very welcome. I want to hear from you, looking into the coffee business, and perhaps I know you might be involved, or certainly you interact with people that are involved in this business. When you, from your observations, relating to the coffee, but also largely to the other bits of agriculture. And we are looking at why Ugandan farmers continue not to benefit from this, from their produce. Yes, our focus is coffee, but also the other products that come from the agriculturists. And certainly many things have been mentioned here, including the lack of value addition. And Caroline here has told us about climate change. And I want to know from your community, what are some of the greatest challenges that are contributing, one, to the low produce in some cases, but also the failure of the quality, and certainly what are some of the initiatives that can be undertaken specific for your community to see that this is turned around and farmers are able to benefit from their produce, but also the country is able to make much more money from the agriculture that will boost to be the backbone of our economy as Uganda. Yes, Emily.
Yes, Philip, thank you very much. Good morning once again, all members on the panel. I'm Namalwa Emily from Mbale City. I'm a proud farmer, and when you ask this question, it is coming directly to me. And as far as coffee is concerned, I also happen to work with the Bugis Cooperative Union, where we were dealing majorly in coffee. At currently, I'm in the passion fruits and the local chicken plus matoke. When we come at the challenges that are mostly affecting us as farmers, me inclusive, our current economy being, what should I say? It is not like it has given a chance to everyone to trade in various commodities. For example, if we go to coffee. In coffee, previously, they insisted that it should go in cooperatives. And those cooperatives organize its members, they would sensitize them, they would give them incentives to ensure that they bring out good quality coffee. Unlike nowadays, when everyone is trading in coffee, anybody who knows a good quality coffee, and also those who do not know the good quality coffee, they are all trading. So that one brings the quality of the products not to be as expected. And the fact that now everybody is buying, the quality that would be ensured, for example, by a cooperative like BCU, it will be compromised because someone will go direct to the farmer in the village and say, bring whatever you have and I give you the money. And given the financial strain that our people are facing, someone will now not look at a larger picture, but will look at what is getting right now. That one has also affected our people and us as farmers in the long run. In the short run, you may think that maybe I'm getting what I want quickly, but in the long run, it is affecting even our prices globally. So other challenges, like Kathy had emphasized, is about financing. Farmers get a lot of challenges accessing finance, especially those in production, because there are so many things like issues of climate change, issues of other uncertain disasters that affect the production. So when you go to the bank, you may not easily access the money, but when you get it, also the costs are high, especially that of insurance, because they are not certain whether what you're putting there, you are going to get it or not. So as a policymaker and also a participating farmer, what we would like to improve on so that we can get value from our products is making sure that we make a drive of mindset change, so that we sensitize our farmers to know that they have to be, if you are patient for a year to start harvesting from your coffee, it means you have to be patient. Also, you have to be patient for some time to add value on your product so that you can harvest, you can get some high returns. Then also you have to ensure that as a government, we sensitize our people about this government insurance. Nobody is talking much about this government insurance for farmers, this crop insurance and more agri-insurance in general. People are just getting only insurance. Just a moment, I'm still on. Thank you very much. There's something soon, but I have your number. I'll see what to do. Yes, I've finished that here. I'll share with you. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, Philip, I'm back. I was talking about agriculture insurance. Many of our farmers only access agriculture insurance when they go for loans in the bank. But there's this agriculture insurance that can help us to be okay, to know that even if I have invested in my project, I can be assured enough in case of any outbreak or a disaster, I can be compensated. So that someone can now work on how to get a better market, how to add value on their crops, and also get higher returns. And also encourage our farmers to make circles. Because when you are together, you can also work together to solve most of the challenges we face than also always waiting for the government. For example, I'm a poultry farmer, and I spearheaded the formation of a poultry farmers circle in Bali City, which is now fully registered. When you come together as farmers in a certain area, you will see that the challenges you face, they are the same, and you will find solutions together. But every time you are working alone as a farmer, you end up selling your products at a cheaper price to the middlemen, and you will not benefit much from it. Then we also encourage that we sensitize our farmers to always look for knowledge about what they are doing, knowledge about the markets, and general knowledge about everything they are doing, because most people, sorry to say this, but most people who are in offices, they are also the ones destroying the market value of the things that we farmers produce. Because someone who is in the office has access to finance and knows that says, I want to rear local chicken, without doing any market research, gets the money, puts there, people start rearing the chicken. When they get the eggs, they now just start selling at a price, whether they don't know whether they're in losses or they're in profits, but because they're doing something just like a hobby, without doing enough research to know that I'm investing in this project, this is what I'm going to get. Before I take my products to the market, I must have knowledge of the prevailing prices so that I don't affect other farmers. And there's so many other things. I hope I've answered the question, but if not, still you can pose it in another way and I will continue talking about it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Emily, for that. And you do justice to what I wanted to know. And certainly you raise very important issues there. Thank you so much, you all, for that, that we have shared. And we are still here on Community Voices Uganda discussing coffee, but largely the agriculture business in our country and how we can make sure the participants are able to benefit from their effort. And Reagan, I hope you're still with us. I want to hear from you again. You see, one of the things that has come out is the issue of who is involved in the coffee business and largely in any other form of business relating to agriculture. And Caroline here told us that everyone, I think it's Emily who mentioned that everyone is able to participate without any prior knowledge, without any sort of training or even any regulation that may stop specific people from practicing. And I think she advocates for example, having cooperative unions being the ones managing, say, the coffee business. And earlier you mentioned about the long value chain in the coffee industry. I want to pick from you, first of all, from that one. Is it so that if we had this sort of specialization, that the production, but also the trading in the coffee business is, for example, done at cooperative level up to the level of export, is it the best practice? But two, you mentioned about the international organizations from which you pick the contracts, and that strongly looks like we are not in control of the business actually. How can you Ugandan traders, but also the farmers, take control of the business from the local setup, but also going international to make sure that the largest money is actually getting to you, our people, not the international companies that just come to source the product. Yes, Reagan.
Thank you so much, Philip. You know, it's always very, very amazing for me to talk to cooperative people because I have transacted with them as a farmer. I've transacted with them as a buyer. I've also transacted with them on behalf of international organizations. I usually transact with a cooperative called Rubanga Cooperative Society in Mitoma district. So I know the best quality that there is that you can ever get in coffee is either from a farmer or from a cooperative. That one, I can't take it away. I at least would actually wish that after this call, I get the contacts of these two people because they are very important people when it comes to quality. However, they have their shortcomings, and I know these amazing ladies on this call know that as a scientist, I usually love to think about sustainability, even when I'm a land surveyor by profession. But I look at sustainability, and that's what we look at in the professional world, for example. That what you have done today, will you be able do it tomorrow, will you even be able to continue to do it in future? What is your capacity that you will keep doing the right that is needed? Coffee is as expensive as our economy may not even afford to buy it, even if it commits. It is not true that there is no regulation. There is regulation. Because, for example, I operate factories personally. Some that belong to the government that I bid at district level, and others that belong to myself. But, Philip, I pay a trading license with a local government currently in all those locations. And I'm accountable for all the traders that are at my factory or within my premises. They themselves recently have been made to pay. Actually, the most recent argument I had was with URA. They came and closed off our premises for income tax, for example. But I pay VAT in Namamve when I go to grade my coffee for export. I pay every form of tax there is in the chain. And now we are getting confused as people. We pay to URA, we used to pay to UCDA, Ministry of Agriculture is here. There is regulation, but very disorganized, and I think it is intentionally disorganized. Because when you find you don't have an absolute right now, UCDA is in its final steps out. And we even have no one to report to. We have no one to keep us in check. You used to know that if you have bad coffee and UCDA finds you with it, you will be arrested, you will lose the coffee. So it is now the onus would be on you to make sure that you have what is required. The regulation is there. But I think Uganda has not yet discovered the gold that is in coffee. Most of those international countries we talk about here, Philip, buy Ugandan coffee and rebrand it as their own coffee. And they make so much money. They make so much money from our Ugandan coffee. So it is usually interesting when I talk to cooperative people, but I know they know that their biggest shortcoming as cooperatives is that they do not have the capacity to consume all the coffee that is in. That is why you see there is emergence of middlemen, because cooperatives, for example, the ones I've transacted with, do not have the absolute capacity, especially with export conditions. Normally, we don't have the principle of being pre-financed by international organizations. They don't finance us prior to purchase. So you buy coffee, load it on a container, which may even take 2 to 3 months to reach this gentleman. And that is when you may have a payment, or you may only have a 50% payment. It depends, of course, on your contract. You may be paid when the coffee is in Malaba, you may be paid when it is in Mombasa, or you may actually not get the payment until the coffee has reached the final consumer the other side. So I would love the concept of, I so much would support the concept of cooperatives. But I have also seen cooperatives that have even done much worse than Ugandans who are transacting themselves. We have seen cooperatives, for example, Philip, that hide prices from farmers. You find normal traders buying at 10,000 and a cooperative is stuck to 9. This farmer will not sell to you because he looks at a margin of 500 shillings. So if he has a ton, he makes off. My brother, I support the idea and concept of cooperatives only if the government will be intentional to fund them, to give them working conditions that are good, to give them working conditions that are favorable to compete equally with these Ugandans who have hundreds of billions of shillings. We have people in Namamve who can buy much more than 10 cooperatives combined. So even when you try your level best to regulate and say no middlemen, it's going to be hard because we do not have the financial capacity within our cooperatives to fund fully. Because we actually get to scenarios where cooperatives sell to these middlemen because they want money. So I support the idea of cooperatives in line
Yes,
with quality.
thank you so much. And maybe if you allow me, engage a little on that. Now, there had been a proposal by government to centralize the coffee business. And I think at the time, it's when we had Pineti in the question and how farmers were supposed to sell all of them to that particular industry. And so that government now does the work of sourcing the market outside and making sure the farmers are able to get a standard price from. I want to hear from you. The centralization vis-a-vis the liberalization where everyone is able to participate in their own way, which is the better practice? And certainly looking that now we are starting to have centers that like Inspire Coffee. I think someone mentioned Inspire Coffee earlier, but also you mentioned that like yourself, you already have factories standing, but also the other people that have invested. Which one should we take for us to be able to compete with Brazil, with Vietnam, and indeed with countries that just do the roasting but get a lot of profit off it, countries like Italy, Switzerland, Germany, because they make much more profit than we make as producers? Where do we go?
Learn a lot from what happens around me, especially in this business. This week, the major players in Kampala, for example, Uganda, which is literally the biggest company we have on ground, Kawacom, there is JKCC, there are multiple, Chagaranyi, all of them have been stuck to a price that is less than what is in field. They've been buying at 10,800, 11,000, but we have 11,200 in field. That means I can't now ferry my coffee from Rukunjiri to Kampala because I don't have any motivation if I'm going to lose. The reason why that is happening is because we have individual exporters who have contracts higher than these companies. And who benefits? The farmer benefits. Me as a trader in a local setting, I benefit. And in that context, a cooperative society that doesn't have export contracts also benefits. So when we talk about, okay, standard price, let's have Pineti, there is no day in my life I will ever put up my hand to support such an idea. We need liberalization, but controlled liberalization. Because the more the players, especially certified and registered players, the more the farmer benefits, because the competition is high. Because if someone calls me with good quality coffee, for example, at 10,800 as we speak, and I fail to purchase it, someone will buy it at 11. That person will have made off. We are looking at livelihood. What we want to kick out of the business is middlemen who play with quality. I think that is where the government must be intentional. If you're found with a truck that has husks, take that one. Remand that one. Take them to courts of law, such that we don't play with quality. We can have as many people in the field because the field is so big. Philip, with the current statistics, for example, in Mitoma, in Buweju, people have planted much more than what they have been harvesting. So that means that in 2 or 3 years from today, we shall have so much coffee. And you see, the more the players, the less the burden is on government, especially with marketing. We have very many young people who are on planes every day for coffee expos, and they have sold coffee much better than even government has done itself. You realize we don't have an independent marketing body that is as intentional as some young people in this economy when it comes to marketing our coffee. So one prayer that I have for me as a trader is we need shortened processes on export. My brother, if you try to get an export certificate as we speak, it may be harder than changing 5 of us. It is as long as the journey from being born to death. It is so long. The bureaucracy is so big. The approvals are so many. The quality requirements are very huge. You can actually barely thrive if you're not a hard-hearted person in this business. But we wish to have very many players, specifically empower the cooperatives. That's my prayer. Let government intentionally fund them. Because I don't see a reason why we have Inspire Coffee Africa in Ntungamo and we have struggling cooperatives that have proven they can. I was born in a coffee family. My father has been a coffee trader since 1992. I have been trading in coffee since 2016. None of us has even ever gotten any fair conditions. We push through the field. We have known, for example, Bugisu Cooperative Union forever. They have been tested, they are proven, they are doing excellent work. And someone writes a concept, takes it to the State House, Inspire Coffee Africa. They cut down a hill, level it down to set up a new factory with the concept of coffee tourism. It's even unfortunate. It's not coffee promotion. It's not coffee marketing. It is coffee tourism. You have Bugisu Cooperative, who already has funders from abroad, who already has contracts from abroad. Make their life easier. Make them control a region. Fund them. Give them tax exemptions where need to be. Because we have, for example, had negative declines. You're giving exemptions to non-Ugandans. Ugandans who are marketing a commodity that funds a greater part of the economy are out there struggling. So I think, as a young man, of course, who is already grounded in the business, I hope in future I shall be in platforms and podiums where I will make these points known. But I do believe the cooperative way, the liberalized way, but regulated and highly strict on quality. Because when we maintain quality, we shall speak languages that everyone can hear. Because with quality, we shall have people who make money to enter the roasting, to enter the value addition, which pay so much more than the mere trade. Recently, a quick one as I finish, I met a gentleman. I actually met a lady I recently called Mama at Center for Constitutional Governance. And I said to her that, I did in coffee. And she asked me, so what type of coffee do you do? I said that I did in, maybe Caroline can help us to mute. So I told her that I did in mere buying from farmers and selling. And she said, the purpose of why I went to school is to add value. And now that opened and triggered me to think out loud. A kilo of roasted coffee in a supermarket, for example, Mega Standard, is 40,000, while a kilo of coffee from a farmer is 10,600, 500. And the difference is simply a machine that turns these coffee beans from normal to roasted. So I think there is a lot more the government must do, especially with sensitization, with empowerment, and intentional regulation of quality. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reagan, and his controlled liberalization, and certainly government supporting out the cooperatives to make sure they are able to do what is actually required with standard, with quality, so that everyone is able to benefit from the coffee business. Thank you so much, Reagan, for that submission, for that thought. I think it's a very strong one, and certainly it will be, the message will be sent out there to make sure the people concerned perhaps can do something to pick it up. And Tonny, I want to hear from you now. And earlier you spoke about the vulnerabilities of the farmers. You spoke about the lack of resources. And I want to hear from you. First of all, government has set out a series of programs where it says they are targeted to the farmers, and they speak Emiogan. They say farmers can get money off this program. They say farmers can get money off the parish development model, but also putting monies in the African Development Bank for farmers to access at reduced profit percentages. Do you think these initiatives could be the ones to change the story from the sad one you mentioned earlier to one that is of success, and certainly propagating the industry to compete with the nations like Vietnam, Brazil, and the others that are very grounded in this business? Yes, Tony.
I'll tell you the issue of access to funds, be it from private players or be it from the government sector, is quite a tricky venture. And I will tell you that these cooperatives or the rural grassroots coffee farmers face a lot of challenges in accessing finance. You would find most of the banks have departments of agriculture. You'll find there's an insurance department. You'll find there are agricultural loans, but they will still put conditions that have a lot of bureaucracy that limits access to funds, meaning that for them to have access to finance their agricultural projects, and sometimes these agricultural projects that are financed doesn't have security in terms of the market prices. So the insecurity is created by both the international and the local players. So the banks also feel insecure to give this kind of loans, as well. Even the insurance, agricultural insurance schemes that come up, they then intend to charge very highly because of the risk involved. So the dynamics is basically about government taking interest to, because we used to have what we call the cooperative bank. I'm glad that government is now currently having discussions. I think this is towards the conclusive stage. The idea was to put up agricultural bank, but I think they want to phase it back and put it as cooperative bank. So I think such an initiative would definitely help to fill up this kind of void. And they reduce, because now that such a bank is a specialized bank that will understand exactly the needs of the cooperatives and the rural agricultural entities. For me, as a person who works with local communities, currently I'm encouraging local communities to progress from what we call the village saving groups into registering as cooperatives, because there's an opportunity that there's going to be a setup and reviving of the cooperatives bank. Just like we have a minister for cooperatives who basically sits there, and I hardly see any work from him, any engagements on the media. The minister of cooperatives, I don't know whether many people know about such a minister, but there's a big docket that is funded by government within the Ministry of Trade that has cooperatives inside there. So we need to make sure that this information is given out to the public. But also I want to appreciate my brother that this agitation towards opening up the coffee sector, you know, from because there are cartels all over these high value crops. You saw how the cartels messed up vanilla, how they tried to mess up the coffee sector. You must fight on as coffee players. Don't think that this industry that makes you rich or can empower the people financially will be looked at and kept to you only to access. Many players would want to access such an industry. So your advocacy must be solid, but you cannot do that alone. You must do it as a united front. That's why the cooperatives must come up, but as well, there should be a joint platform that brings together all these cooperatives to make a bold demand as cooperatives. But also, the money that the cooperatives make, if the cooperatives were organized, they would challenge the status quo. Okay? I'll give you an example. Now, gold is the leading export earner. A platform for the a platform that brings all the cooperatives that are in the mining sector, called Uganda Association of Small Scale and Artisanal Miners, UGASUM, is in plans now to set up a bank for the mining sector. They even have the capacity to mobilize money to set up their own bank, not to wait for the system that don't understand them, that put a lot of bureaucracy for export and for limitation in terms of access to funds. So you must come up with disruptive approaches to this sector if you want to control it as local indigenous people. Because the control is not only brought in from Uganda. These funny bureaucracies you see is handled at a higher level at the geopolitical control of the high value crops. So these decisions are simply channeled back to Uganda. They're made at a very high level, not only in Uganda. So they are only used as proxies within these funny things like the Uganda Exports Board promotion. So these are just bureaucracies. These are just proxies that are used to channel back these international decisions that are made. So my brother, you should know that if you want to change this sector, have disruptive approaches to the sector locally. Don't wait for the international arrangements that are set up, because these ones are set up in the neocolonial approach to simply control the narrative and control you and create these bureaucracies that frustrates you, annoys you to get away from the sector. It is basically control.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony, for that. And Very important you mentioned. And Caroline, if I come to you, we earlier talked about value addition. First of all, what sort of value addition, if there is any, do you do from the level of, because you mentioned you are exporters from Buta cooperative, and certainly what sort of support would you want from government or any other stakeholders you might be interested in, so that you improve your business and certainly gain more control of the industry as Ugandans, because you have really a big number of Ugandans you are in touch with in this value chain. Yes, Caroline.
Thank you, Uganda. Thank you, Philip, and the colleague. Thank you for that question. As a cooperative, if the president came to Manafa, the first thing we would ask for as a cooperative is to have a mill. Manafa, the surrounding areas of Manafa are all coffee growing areas, but you find that there are so many cooperatives, but one has to move long distances to take their coffee for milling. But if we had a stationary milling machine, like let's say in Manafa Trading Center, set up, whoever brings their coffee, even outside Manafa, will be given that service. Me, that's the only cry I want, for a mill to reach the area. And on value addition, sorry?
Please proceed.
In value addition, as you have asked, we have managed as a cooperative, because we see the coffee that we send out, it is the same coffee that is brought back this side as powder, which is really so sad. Yeah? So we have decided to do some value addition to our coffee. We go do the roasting, we do the packaging, and we do the marketing. And in doing this has also provided jobs to our farmers, especially the vulnerables. You find there are some young ladies who have produced from home, they have nothing to do, but their parents maybe have some coffee, but we end up employing them to do the packaging, to do the sealing, to do all those things. And as I may say, our coffee is called Buta coffee. It's called Buta coffee. That's already gone on the market. In fact, even you can find it at standard supermarkets. We are trying to expand also in different places all over the country. This has also created jobs and has also encouraged our farmers to bring their coffee to the cooperative. Because even those same farmers, when they come to the cooperative and they say some value addition, they say, yes, we're also going to take on our coffee, which encourages them to bring to the cooperative.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline from Buta Coffee. And she says the people of Manafwa and indeed Buta Farmers Cooperative would want to get a meal at least to start from there and make sure this industry is propagated from that part of the country. And certainly this message should be passed out there as strongly as possible to see that that community is supported in that way. And Emily, I want to hear from you. First of all, have the people of Mbale, and I know you are involved therein, have the people of Mbale, especially the farmers, benefited from the parish development model, from Myoga, from Ntandikwa, from the parish revolving fund? Very many policies. Have the people of Mbale benefited? But two, what specific support would be very practical in improving the standard, the quality of produce from Mbale, and going forward, ensuring that the people are up in the money economy, like the president keeps saying, so that the livelihoods are improved and going forward we have a growing country. Yes, Emily.
Thank you very much, Philip. I'll basically talk about the parish development model and Myoga, because that is what at least I've been practically involved. With the parish model, our people of Mbale City majorly, those who have accessed are utilizing it well, according to the statistics we got when we went for supervision. only that as a city, the population is bigger than that in the rural areas, and yet they were giving us the same amounts like those in the rural areas. You find a village with 50 households is getting a cell with a ward with the 50 households is getting the same amount with us in only a village where we have over 30,000 people. But those who have got, they have benefited. And those who organized themselves, and they are also in circles. We have a particular one in Namakwekwe, where they are making wine, they are making cakes and other things, but they got a startup from Microfinance Support Center and a Myoga. Otherwise, the larger population have not yet got, but we are hopeful that they are going to benefit. And what we are talking with government is that promise of the president that next time when they are giving out these funds, they consider the population of the locality, not just a general thing that they are giving out. For example, here in Namatala Ward, we have over 150,000 people, but you find them also getting 100 million. So the president has promised that this time round they are going to sit and consider depending on the numbers in a certain area. And for Myoga, we are sensitizing people because most of them didn't know how it operates. So we are also telling them to be under different categories. If you are a border, you go there, you save your money, and you put 30%, and they give you the amount that is required. So I believe when people have that information, that money is there, they are going to be getting. So how government can add on incentives to ensure that our people benefit? Like I gave an example as a poultry farmer who have made a poultry farmer's circle. For us, we are looking at having a hatchery as a main business, so that we encourage our farmers to add value to their eggs. For example, if you have eggs and you are selling 500 and you get a chance to fertilize your eggs, you will sell an egg at 1,000 shillings and as fertilized egg. And when you add value to a chick, you will sell 3,000. And we are also looking at making powder from eggs, egg powder, and we are doing more research on shells so that we can come up with calcium from the eggs, which we have heard that it is very good, especially on those people having arthritis and also those with diabetes. So we are still making that research, and we keep on encouraging our government and all other stakeholders to encourage our farmers, like I said, to continue doing research and also working hand in hand with each other so that we can come up with solutions of our industry that can help us, just like Mr. Was it Tonny or Reagan? It was Reagan who said that some of the solutions, we have them as we wait for the government. We have them ourselves. So we are just requesting that the government works hand in hand with the key players in the field so that we can work together to promote this business, because Uganda, we are blessed. We have so many avenues we can benefit from, especially in the agriculture sector. Just that our people have been tuned, especially the Gen Zs, that when you go to school, you have to get a white-collar job. That is why many are not participating in the rightful manner. But if there's that kind of mindset change, I believe we shall benefit more from the agriculture sector as a country at large.
All right. Thank you so much, Emily. Wow, such a strong pitch you have out there. And I think it's one of those that should pick the attention of the responsible people. And certainly, I hope you can continue to speak that language, not just within Bali, but also with the wider structure of government and any other stakeholders in the agricultural business. Thank you so much for that. And colleagues, our time is very, very much fast spent. I think we should be out of here in less than 5 minutes. And perhaps I should give 30 seconds to each one of you to give a final remark as we get out of here, and certainly we move. I will start with, let me start with you, Caroline. Any final remark you'd want to pass as we conclude the conversation?
Yes, thank you, Philip. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you, colleagues, for being on this show and platform. I just encourage each and everyone who is on this platform to go back and encourage the communities, especially us one cooperatives. Let's tell people that coffee, omanyitelimba. Let people be engaged in coffee. Let them grow. Whatever that they get, I know one day, let's come to the platform, and whoever needs maybe to come and visit the cooperative in Buta, you're welcome. The doors are open. You come and you see where we have reached. You come and see our fields. You come and see our farmers' grounds and how they are putting them right. And also enjoy the cup of coffee in the office. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline, for that. Tony, any final remark?
Yes, please. I think for me, far and more, there should be more discussions into the coffee sector. The discussions should be removed from the boardroom arrangements, and we take the discussions to the grassroots local woman or local man on the ground, so that the real issues that affect them can be heard, and also we pick their concerns. But I would want to encourage all the stakeholders involved, the farmers, the buyers, the traders, look and source out for local problems, local solutions, because these problems are engineered at a colonial level. It's very difficult for you to control the dynamics if you think you're going to attack the system from up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Emily, any final remark?
Yes, thank you very much, members. You can see me, I'm very busy. I'm adding that I'm cutting so that I feed it my chicken. So we should continue to encourage our people to have a mindset change towards agriculture, because a farmer feeds the world, and as a key stakeholder, both a farmer and a policymaker, we are also going to continue pushing for better policies. So members, just like Aunt Caroline invited us for a cup of coffee, I do local chicken, banana farming, and passion fruits, and anyone who is in Bale can look for me. I'm located in Masanda. I'm just a call away, and we can discuss more about bananas, passion fruits, and chicken keeping. You are all most welcome for God and my country. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And lastly, Reagan.
Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you so much. I think this is one of the online conversations I've barely even thought of getting off for a minute, because this is gold. To me, coffee is better than gold. If well marketed, treated, it's a part of the economy that can consume us all. I hold a bachelor's degree in land surveying, and I don't remember a day when I felt like this is what is going to change my life. No. Coffee is the deal. It is dirty hands, clean money. So I wish and pray that one day Civic Space can be empowered to hold a public lecture and we come and talk more about coffee. Maybe we shall have bigger voices with us, because I do believe Civic Space has the mandate. We shall speak big, speak good, speak coffee. And I know one day Uganda shall be the country that earns the most from this coffee. And us who are in the industry will definitely be the news that everyone would want to read. Thank you so much, Civic Space. I'm looking forward to much more conversations. Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you, everyone. I've pasted my number in the comments. If it's okay, my fellow panelists can paste theirs. Let's keep in touch. I'm now very interested in passing by a supermarket and I taste Buka coffee, such that I can recommend Buka coffee. Buta, it's Buta. I've written it here.
Yes.
So that I even recommend others take some of it. I'm a very big love of Ugandan coffee. I think I have almost every brand that I've found in any supermarket because I know the gold that is in it and how much time people put in to make it consumable. And
You
make
got hard and the bucket is.
time I visit Manafwa, I shall pay a visit to Buta, and maybe since my sister is a student at Soroti, I'll visit Madame Emily. Let's keep in touch. Thank you so much. God bless you and keep you safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And yes, the recommendations, the thoughts, the opinions, the proposals have been all said out, and the pitches. But I think it's very important that they get picked up and we see that we move this sector into the right direction. Once again, Caroline Nakibuka from Buta Farmers Cooperative, thank you so much for your time and for the thoughts you've shared with us here on Community Voices Uganda. Namalwa Emily from Mbale City, thank you so much for your thoughts and indeed for sparing time to join this conversation. Olenge Tonny, thank you so much for your thoughts and indeed for making time to join the conversation. And indeed, Reagan Mwebesa, thank you so much for your thoughts and sparing time to join the conversation. Special thanks to you, our viewers, and indeed all of you that are always there waiting for what we have to produce here on Community Voices and the wider Civic Space TV. Special thanks to the technical team. Special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance and all the partners we work with in delivering this service to the peoples of Uganda and the world. And we appreciate that we continue doing this over and over again. And colleagues, certainly I look forward to having you more for conversations like this so that we continue making a contribution to the progress of this beautiful country. I am Philip Mlisa, and let me say warm greetings to you, and I wish all of you freedom and indeed progress in the endeavors you are undertaking. Thank you and see you next time.